Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be treating Advanced Level Geography 2019. That is question 2 and 3 of section A and question 4 and 5 of section B. Now in section A, question 2, that is 2A, briefly identify and describe I1, 3 tectonic process typical of plate margins of convergence. 6 marks. Now, to answer this question, you have to define plate margins, then now in different paragraphs briefly give the tectonic processes involved with plate margins. A plate margin is the edge of a tectonic plate. Now, a convergent plate margin is therefore a situation where two plates or more collide or meet towards each other. Then in the various paragraphs, you give the processes involved with convergent plate margins. Now, some processes involved in convergent plate margins, you have firstly subduction. This is a process whereby one plate moves or slides beneath the other down to the mantle. Now, this can be seen when an oceanic plate moves beneath a continental plate. Example, the Cascadian subduction zone. Secondly, compression of the crust. This is another process. When two plates come together, a process that occurs is compression of the crust, where tectonic plates are pushed together and the crust becomes shorter and thicker. Also, volcanic eruption. Another process typical of convergent plate margin is volcanic eruption. When two plates meet together, it causes lava and gases to be released from a volcano. So those are the various processes that occurs during convergent margins. I2, the nature of any two hazards associated with earthquake and their mitigation strategies. Now, you have to give the various hazards that occurs as a result of earthquake. Before giving this hazard, earthquake is a situation, is a sudden violent vibration or shaking of the ground, typically causing great destruction. Now, in the following paragraphs, I give the hazards associated with earthquake. Firstly, tsunamis. Now, a tsunami is a series of large waves of long wavelength from the sea generated by violent disturbance caused by earthquake. So, as a result of earthquake, tsunamis do occur. Secondly, landslide. This is another hazard associated with earthquake. It is a movement of a mass of rock or the earth down a slope due to gravity, and when earthquake occurs, it causes destruction. Now, some mitigation strategies to crop earthquake include, now how can you crop tsunamis, or what are the solutions to tsunamis? Now, mitigation strategies to tsunamis include building of tsunami evacuation structure. When you talk of tsunami evacuation structure, bring up plans in evacuating areas that are possible to tsunamis. Also, limiting new development in tsunami hazard zones in order to avoid the effect of tsunami. That is, people should not construct in areas that are liable to tsunamis. The next mitigation of landslide. Landslide can be mitigated by building retaining walls to support the soils, and also using chemical agents to reinforce slope materials. The B part of that question, describe 3 ways by which wedging is useful to man. Wedging is a breaking down or disintegration of rocks on the earth's surface. Now, the following are uses of wedging to man according to the answer plan. Firstly, wedging provides man with available rocks which can help him for building or construction of houses, even roads. Secondly, wedging provides man with food through rocks like limestone. Limestone can be used in preparing or cooking food. That's another use of wedging to man. Also, wedging creates landforms like mountains, valleys, plateaus. So these are some use of wedging to man. Then that is that for section A, question 2. Now on section A, we'll go to question 3, which is biogeography. 3A, how does climate influence ecosystem productivity? 8 marks. Now, ecosystem productivity is the rate of generation or formation of biomass in the ecosystem. Climate will influence ecosystem productivity in the following ways. Now, if you remember, this question came in 2015 and the question is coming again in 2019. Now, firstly, amount of sunlight. Sunlight is necessary in an ecosystem for the process of photosynthesis. An increase in sunlight, especially in the tropics, will provide more energy for photosynthesis, leading to productivity, while a decrease in sunlight will decrease the rate of productivity. Secondly, water. The climate releases water in the form of precipitation, mostly rainfall. I like most of rainfall. The higher precipitation, that is rainfall, the increase in productivity in the ecosystem, while the lower the precipitation, the lower the productivity rate in the ecosystem. Also, temperature. Temperature plays an important role in ecosystem productivity. The higher the temperature, the higher the rate of organic matter, whereas the lower the temperature, the lower the rate of organic matters. Hence, productivity rate is slow. Now, lastly, air. Air will play an important role in ecosystem productivity. That is, gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, also needed by plants for photosynthesis. Once it enters the ecosystem, it increases ecosystem productivity. B. Briefly examine the role of organic matter in soil development. 7 marks. Now remember, the role of organic matter is not only the factor that contributes to soil development. There are other factors that contribute to soil development. So organic matter is one of these factors. So you first of all define soil development. Soil development refers to soil formation. Simple. Yes, soil development. These are the factors that lead to soil formation. Soil formation is influenced by some factors, and among these factors include organic matter. Now, organic matter will influence soil development in that organic matters like litter, animal dung, death of animal remains will increase the fertility of the soil as they act as humus on the soil after the process of decomposition has taken place with the help of organic matters like fungi. That means when organic matters act on dead remains of animals, litters, a word, it leads to the process of decomposition, which increase or lead to soil formation. Aside from organic matters, there are other factors that influence soil formation. That's your linkage to bring out other factors. You have topography. Topography refers to relief. Areas having gentle slopes will permit the formation of deep and mature soils. Remember, gentle slopes are level lands, while areas having steep slopes will affect the movement of water and soil, hence liable to soil erosion. Steep slopes are highland areas. Also, the next paragraph, climate. Climate controls the rate of temperature and rainfall of a soil. Temperature influences micro activities. Example, areas having sufficient temperature, there will be rapid decomposition of litter than areas that are cool. On the other hand, precipitation like rainfall influence erosion and leaching, hence influencing soil development. Now, the C part of that question, explain 3 physical factors that makes it difficult for a climax vegetation to be attained. 10 marks. Now you start by defining climax vegetation. Climax vegetation is the final stage of biotic succession attainable under the environmental conditions at a particular time. Now you give in the subsequent paragraphs the factors that influence or affect climax vegetation. Firstly, volcanic eruption. Remember, they are both physical and human factors that influence climax vegetation. So this question, they have asked for physical factors. After giving physical factors, you give other human factors. Volcanic eruption. When a mountain erupts, lava that comes out from the mountain destroy plant communities and hence disrupt it from attaining climax vegetation. Secondly, earthquake. When earthquake occurs, that is when there is a tremor or when the ground shakes or there is destruction of some species of vegetations on the ground, and hence it will lead to or will disrupt these vegetations from attaining climax. Also, wildfire. This is a large destructive fire that spreads quickly over a forest. When this happens, many vegetations in the forest are destroyed, hence making it difficult for a climax vegetation to be attained. Now, despite physical factors influencing climax community or climax vegetation, there are also human factors, and you explain below. Pollution. When man pollutes the environment, it leads to acid rain, which kills plants and change the balance of nutrients in the soil, hence makes it difficult for climax vegetation to be attained. More so, agriculture. Agricultural activities practiced by man like deforestation lead to the disappearance of some species of trees and the cutting down of trees too, hence makes it difficult for climax vegetation to be attained. So those are the factors that makes it difficult for climax vegetation to be attained. Now, section B, question 4. That is human geography. That is population geography. Let's briefly explain the term population pyramid. 5 marks. Now, a population pyramid is a graph that shows the composition of the population in terms of ages and sex or gender. Now, example of population pyramid will be examined below. Now, firstly, progressive population pyramid, which has a broad base and a narrow top. Remember, with the progressive population pyramid, its base is broad due to high birth rate and it has a narrow top. Secondly, regressive pyramid, which is broad in the middle but narrow at the top and at the bottom. Also, you have a stationary population pyramid in which birth rate and death rate are constant for a long period of time. And lastly, you have the intermediary pyramid, which has a very broad base. An intermediary pyramid was first a progressive pyramid, but due to increase in birth rate, its base enlarges. So those are the types of population pyramid. So for 5 marks in this question, you define population pyramid and you give the types of population pyramid. B, account for the global disparities in infertility rate. 10 marks, the global disparity in infertility rate. So with this question, you start by defining, or you give an account for the global disparity in infertility rate. Now, global disparity in infertility rate are the factors that influence birth rate in different parts of the world. Now, in the paragraphs below, you give the various disparities or the various factors that influence infertility rate or fertility rate. Firstly, age. Now, female age is the most important factor affecting fertility rate. When women are still young, that is below the age of 30, they have the high fertility rate as they can give birth to more children. Whereas when a woman approaches her mid or late 30s, their fertility rate reduces. That's the first factor. The next, secondly, alcohol. Too much alcohol for women may reduce fertility rate in them. As studies report shows that women who drink more than 5 to 10 units of alcohol a week may reduce fertility in them, and others who do not drink more alcohol won't face problem of fertility. Also, medical condition. Women faced with medical health conditions and sicknesses can affect their fertility, whereas women who do not have medical conditions and are fertile can also give birth to more children. The next, you have government policies. Some government policies in the world aim at reducing the population do influence fertility. This can be seen, example can be with the China's policy, that is the one-child policy of China, where women are liable to give birth just to one child. Now, this will go a long way to reduce fertility rate, hence a reduction in birth rate. Lastly, marriages. When women do get married at an early age, they tend to give birth to more children at an early age. Hence, they tend to have high fertility rate. On the other hand, when women get married at an old age, they tend to have few or no children. Hence, low fertility rate. Then the C section or the C part, areas the C part, assess the relevance of the demographic transitional model, 10 marks. Now, when you look at the demographic transitional model, this was a model that was brought forth by Thomson Nutstill, where he talked on how birth rate and death rate fluctuate or change in the world. Now he's talking how he's bringing how birth rate and death rate do has an influence on the population change in the world. So in your introduction, you define the demographic transitional model, and now in subsequent paragraphs you give the various stages, because he wrote his model in 4 main stages. Now, firstly, in your first paragraph, the high fluctuating stage. This was the first stage brought forth by Thomson. At this stage, he said birth rate and death rate are very high and population growth is very low and at times negative. So with this first stage, Thomson's note that birth rate and death rate are high. Now, a reason for high birth rate and high death rate. Now, a reason for high birth rate is due to early marriages. Some marriage practices like polygamy, which will boost birth rate. Reasons for high death rate: you have political instability, which is war. You have men involving themselves in risky jobs. You have poor health conditions or lack of hospitals, inadequate hospitals. Secondly, the early expanding phase. This is the second phase. At this stage, he explains that birth rate is still very high while death rate drops. Now, death rate drops due to improvement in sanitation and building of hospitals. Also, the late expanding phase. Now, with this phase, he explains where birth rate reduces and death rate continues to fall. Now, why would death rate continue to reduce, or why would birth rate falls? Due to what? Improvement in family planning, the use of contraceptives. Lastly, the low expanding stage. At this stage, birth rate and death rate rapidly falls or are very low. Then you bring out the diagram that shows the 4 stages, and you bring in its title, the demographic transitional model, as you can see on the screen. The question 5. Question 5a, briefly explain 2 factors responsible for the emergence of the Green Revolution. 5 marks. Green Revolution is a large increase in crop production. It is as a result of the following factors. You bring the following factors. Firstly, improvement in agriculture, in agricultural machineries. An improvement in agricultural tools or modern tools like tractors will boost agricultural productivity, thereby increasing crop production. Secondly, fertilizers. The use of fertilizers, mostly chemical fertilizers, do boost productivity rate in agriculture, hence increasing the output of agriculture, which will go forward to increasing green revolution, or a factor responsible for green revolution. The B part. So for 5 marks, you explain, you define green revolution, and you bring the 2 factors that do influence green revolution. B, using any 3 arguments, evaluate the role played by Weber's theory on industrial location. 12 marks. Now, Alfred Weber proposed his theory in the year 1909, where he classified industries in 3 stages, and from these 3 stages he gave his conclusion to these industries. Now, you bring out in the paragraphs below, you bring out the 3 stages, later we should bring out his conclusion. Firstly, weight gaining industries. This is the first stage of industrial classification by Weber. He explained that when weight gaining industries are industries whose final products are heavier than their raw materials. That is, industries who produce heavy output. Example, in Cameroon, you have Brasseries du Cameroon, and you have automobile industries, that is, industries who produce cars. So you see that these are industries whose output are heavy. Now, how did he conclude? He concluded that weight gaining industries should locate towards the market since their output are heavy to be transported to the market. So he's saying here that industries whose output are very heavy should locate towards the market so that it will be easier for them to sell their heavy output. Secondly, weight losing industries. These are industries whose raw materials are heavier than their final product. That is, industries who produce light output using heavy raw materials. Example of industries here, you have Susukam industry in Cameroon, which produces sugar. Now, with this type of industries, you discover that their raw materials are heavy. That is, the things they use in production are heavy and their output are light. Now, he concluded that weight losing industries should locate towards their source of raw materials, as they have heavy raw materials and their output will be easier to transport to their market since they are light. Now, lastly, industries that neither lose nor gain weight. These are industries whose raw materials are equal to the final product. That is, their input and output are almost equal. Example of industries here is the textile industry. Textile industry are industries that deals with fashion, that is, cloth production. Now, Weber concluded that these industries should locate midway between the source of raw materials and their market. So you explain that way to have your 12 marks. The next question, or the next section, C, discuss 2 factors influencing the development of road transport network. 8 marks. Now, road transport network is the ease at which people and goods are transported from one area to the other. Now, factors that influence development of road transport include technology. When there is an improvement in technology, modern machines and methods will be created to be used in construction of roads from one area to another. Hence, it will influence the development of road transport and the movement of people from one area to another. Secondly, roads should be open. That is, when large roads are open by the government, it will reduce traffic jam and congestion on roads, hence facilitating the movement of people from one area to another, and also it will reduce the risk of road accidents. So those are the factors. Those are the factors that can influence road transport network. Now, the section C, they say explain 3 reasons for the recent and unprecedented increase in the average temperature of the Earth's surface. Then the B 9 marks and the B marks ask for solution. Now, in this section, I'm not going to detail explain yet because you can see the answer to this question in 2015, because this question is repeating itself. So, guys, make sure you like, you comment, and you share.